Okay, Manchester, UK, brief videos of time, Stephen Goddard. I'm at the site of Hollingworth Lake again. Just down at the bottom of this valley is the canal feeder. You can just make out some water there, and it leads off down, obviously, into that valley. So what I'm going to do today is trace 3 lock gates, and that's in Littleborough, and that's where the canal starts to ramp up over the Pennines. It's from Hollingworth, Littleborough. It goes right up into Lancashire, North Lancashire, actually North East Lancashire. So we'll see that, and we'll also see how the canal gets fed by Hollingworth Lake and its feeder. As usual, I'm going to walk down the old-fashioned way. So the first place of interest is Brown's Lodge or Lake. So it fills Brown's Lake, part of the lake system we just saw down in the bottom of the valley. And then Brown's Lake in turn feeds the canal. There was a gas pumping station to take some water on a 4-mile journey higher up to the top of some of these lock gates we'll see today, but it is mainly, as we've seen, quite flat. And what I mean there is the canal is level, there's not any lock gates. So in that area there would have been Brown's Mill and the reservoir and lake are situated there. The canal is at the bottom of this hill, and we're going to cross a bridge at the bottom of the hill. We get some of this old stone. So some of the places we'll see, mainly in Littleborough, which is in that direction. But it is really a short section, and there's also a culvert to explain, a new culvert, and a branch canal. I believe it's where the Ashton-under-Lyne branch canal connected to this canal. So it's just a couple of miles long over into Ashton. But we'll get that as we walk up. So let's jump up as we walk down towards Rochdale. So we're going to get to the top of the first lock gate. Okay, won't take me long to get up there, and you'll be there even quicker. So we're going to cross our first bridge. And that's this bridge here, bridge 52, and we're back on the Rochdale Canal. Hollingworth Lake is at the top of the lane I walk down. And that's some form of gas or electric pipe. The most interesting point is the old sluice gates, which are just over the canal there. I'll try and zoom in. Yep, that's them over there. That fills just this section of canal, but this section of canal is about 3 miles long, so we're going to head northward. So I've got to be honest, it's a little bit unclear exactly what that branch of the canal well, where it leads to. It seems to be a drain, it says on a map, but there's also connections and branch canals all along here, and there's definitely a map I saw once of a branch which stretched out, quite far. Now, I'm not sure if it reaches the Ashton Canal at this point, but I'm not sure how far that goes towards the Pennines either. But on the map I'm looking at, it does say this is a drain. It goes down and then rejoins the canal further down, but it is a little bit unclear. I would say that is a section of canal that branched off. So as you may be able to make out, these stairs, and I'm going to explain, these are for when you get out of your barge or into your barge to go through the lock, and this is what you'd call a dock. Bridge 47 and lock number 46, so 46 and 47 together, that means the next one up will be 46 bridge and lock 45, so they'll count down together, eventually they'll match, so it's a good place to have a measure from. Here's a point where you would moor your boat or barge while you waited for your turn to go through the lock. So as they fill it, that's when you go up. When they empty it, that's when someone comes down. I'm just going to get a look there in the distance as I just jump down. Now this is the volunteers engineering works for the Rochdale Canal. It is a charity, but it's also, I think it's National Lottery funded, and the Manchester City Council do subsidise it because the water's needed down in Manchester for boating activities. That's a River Trust dredger, and that's its workings. It says to volunteer or donate, search localcanal.com. Canal and River Trust, Rochdale Canal. So if you want to make a donation or volunteer to clean the canal or anything, there you go. And there's a barge. We're not going to do any aqua robotics today because we're going to hit twilight as we get to Rochdale. I'll jump from Smithy Bridge to the Rochdale. There's an extra branch canal we haven't got, and this is a typical canal barge, obviously. So as I said, just walking down to the next lock. So it's a fairly short distance between each lock now as we walk down towards Rochdale, as I said. So you can see the canal widens quite a lot here, so it's an area where barges could wait. Must be a busy section before you start dropping down into Manchester. So another set of lock gates. Lock 47. It's thinner than it should be due to subsidence. So this is reduced to one boat at a time, so usually you can get two in at a time. So you can drop two and then lift two, which is about as efficient as it would have got. Remember, for its day, this is extremely modern. 1790s, it was open 1804 or something. And this would have been the equivalent of a motorway compared to the dirty cobbled streets and what have you, which would have looked something like this. and a typical example of some Lancashire villages. And we drop so we can see inside the lock, and the doors are narrower. Dern lock, this one is. 1880 was one of the busiest years for the Rochdale Canal, with goods weighing 686,000 tonnes being transported, the equivalent to the movement of about 50 boats per day. By 1921, the traffic had fallen to 180,000 tonnes, 12 boats per day. So the canal was finally closed in 1937. After a restoration programme, £50 million, it was reopened in 2002. And they managed to maintain a lot of the original structure and surrounding buildings. So the water is channeled through the sides, comes out here, so you can fill the lock, or you can have the water go around the outside of the lock, which also means you can fill the next lock down and this lock here at the same time, because you can bypass it and fill it at the same time. So there's an old view of an old wall and an old dock. More places you could tie your boat or your barge, and then show you the next bridge down as we enter Littleborough. It's another culverted section to see. We're at a part now where we can actually see how it used to look. Yeah, and it's quite pretty when you get these little sections, like the bridge going over down there. Lovely. To point out, it's as we get twilight. It's not that the footage is going, it's the digital technology on my camera struggles to cope with a daylight setting as twilight's coming. Or those complicated scientific issues, or you could just ignore it and go slower, because I don't want to miss what I was trying to say in the first place. Get a view of this lovely little place. You've got to spot the old parts, you see. And then the path has been concreted over, but the original is at the edge. And so's the bridge. And this wall would have met up with these cottages. And you can tell they're old stone. Little Lancashire village. There's an old doorway, possibly an old mill. So, managing to get the colours, I think. Just. And we'll go through, and then we can get the old Lancashire street, an old stone bridge. And got the washing out for authenticity. That's a nice word, isn't it? Would like to add that today is recording live edition. Can't beat that live atmosphere sometimes. So I've swatted up as we reach yet another canal lock and a little house at the side. Which is obviously residential. That's where the water filters through to the bottom of the lock. That's another short section, each one around half a mile long, I'd say. And this is lock 48, and that's inside lock 48. So down there you can just see a sill, and that's how the canal gets filled. Remember, each lock is 3 metres deep and around, I think it's, I'd say 15 metres long, 10 metres long. So they're all exactly the same area of water, so there's no waste. Now this lock doesn't look like it gets used a great deal, but the canal is still active and usable. So bridge 50 and lock 48. Now little stepping stones to push the gates closed as we enter Littleborough. And there's the water channeling through. So that's our third lock. And we'll end on a culvert we need to get a shot of. And there's the steps again. As I say, typical Lancashire village, but there's a lot of people around. I do a very good job of actually cutting people out. A lady just shouted right across the canal, and I'll tell you what she said. The pizza's here. And it echoed like 10 times more in the lock, and she actually did apologise. It was quite funny. With her husband. I said, you can't apologise for things like that. They do live here. I'm trying to film the canal as it was 200 years ago. But obviously, well, we can get the noise of traffic for a start. So the canal used to run off to the left hand side, and you can just see houses, and there's also a tunnel buried in that field. It's now culverted to this side, but it's just a slight turn. It would have gone under the houses there and then joined the canal again on the other side. That was filled in, and that field is obviously now private, hence the culvert. So I'm going to have to be quite smart here, because the canal's juxtaposed with the modern main road. As you can see. And there is the old Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway Company. You can tell by the old wall. And it is still in use today. Now the electric line, Manchester to Yorkshire. And that's the line. Of the canal. And just under there is buried, you can just see the tunnel. And I chose that time to zoom in, because it's hard to get the canal with the modern road, but I'm still doing that, and it goes now through this culvert at the side instead of that direction under the house. Off towards Rochdale. I do need to still explain how the canal is filled. And this is the modern concreted culvert. Concrete's a quick, strong solution, but it isn't quite as pretty as the stone. But there you go. You can tell it's a modern brickwork, and the path's still shiny under here. That's how new it is. It's never seen horses, that's why. And then we're going to just shoot down to where it fills. And so we travelled all the way from, that was the last lock gate, and it's level, the canal, all the way down to Rochdale now. There's not one more lock gate, it's a couple of miles I think. So this is part of Hollingworth Lake, basically fills this, and this is like a header reservoir too. The last 3 locks we looked at are filled by a pumping station that is no longer there, so there must be another way that they are filled these days. But originally it was a steam powered engine, pump water in an aqueduct 4 miles to the top of those locks from Hollingworth Lake. So I had some technical difficulties with my aqua robot underwater cam. It filled up with water. So it's still working, but tonight I just chose not to use it. And there seems to be a lot of fish activity. That's typical. You know, the life of documentary people, eh? You have to basically come every day for about a year to get the perfect video. You really would. Film everything one thing at a time. So it's still off down Rochdale in that direction. Brown's Lodge is over on the other bank, but it's no longer there. But you can see the reeds, and you can actually hear some water flowing and filling up the canal. But it's so slight you can hardly make it out. It's on the far bank. And here is an overflow part. On the opposite side to where the canal fills. So once this area, header area, call it a header lake, even though it's part of the canal, it contains all the water for the lock gates down into Manchester. So basically no water's wasted. Goes over the other side of this fence into another lake, which I'm sure had its use. It's all fenced off, so it is private property. It will be part of the canal in some description. Right, there's an area here where I can see the water is bulging. So the pressure pipe from Hollingworth Lake, which is in the previous video, I said the sluice gates aren't used anymore. It must be fed by a pressure pipe. So that means the water comes from underneath the canal. You can actually see it moving. So it's probably only me could spot something like this. But can you see it? Sort of bulges there. So the water looks like it's slightly higher. And it makes all these water patterns move around. So the inlet to feed the canal is right there. If ever you want to know where that is, it's just near the blue gas pipeline that crosses the canal. But we're definitely in the right area. You can see it swirling. So the energy in this still canal gives the trace of the evidence of physics. And that's the force of water being pushed into the canal over there. It's actually slightly deeper, a few millimetres, like a swell. And to be honest with you, Manchester, that's so discreet. I just had about 3 people join me. You've lived in this area for up to 20 years, one guy said, and he had no idea that's where it filled. And it is definitely there, because it's all still again here, slowly flowing, just slowly. And now it's much faster from it bulges out over there. See, you've got to understand physics really to spot these things. That's what's given me the clue there. The water, you could actually see bulging slightly above everything else. Yeah, this is it's either an electric line or a gas line over the canal. We'll get back to the bridge where we started, and then I'm going to end on something in Rochdale. There you go, Manchester, UK. Brief video of time. Stephen Goddard. And I've actually found how this thing fills. The Rochdale Canal. I explained how the lockgate systems run, and that they have a dredger. I've also linked it to Hollingworth Lake, and we'll see some more of the older structure on the far bank. Not sure what this is, but it's definitely some form of dock or loading area. Possibly could have been a bridge, or the foundations to the bridge. So, interesting stuff, I'm sure. But But I really am going to stop filming now, because I always say that and carry on. We've got everything we need to get. There's a more modern concrete structure there, so it's all part of, there's either a dock or a mill. The River Beal flows nearby here too, underneath the canal. I can hear it but I can't see it. That's the best way of putting it. And as I said, I would jump up and then walk back down to where we started. And the previous movie in the playlist explains this flat section from Hollingworth Lake. Got some evening bird activity and just more structures on the far side there as we get back to the bridge that we started with. And we saw 2 sluice gates. We don't really need to see those again, they're situated right next to that bridge. It's there on the far bank. As I said, this is where we started from in the previous playlist. I showed Hollingworth Lake to the top of that hill. So just a bonus feature at the end. As I said, I've got a surprise down at a lock gate. So as I said, it's a 3-mile stretch, a good 3-mile stretch, which I cover quite quick. Now we're going to get traces of flies, and that's because, well, it's twilight. After a 3-mile flat section of canal, a bit like the Bury to Bolton canal, get our first lock. Yeah, it's total level, so it's, like I say, although it's thin, it holds a lot of water. It's almost, it is a reservoir in itself. If you think it's 3 miles, say 3 metres deep, 5 metres wide, you work out the area of water, it's a lot of water. So, we've been here before, but we never filmed this lock. If you remember, I filmed the one further down, and I actually closed that lock. So what one looks like filled up. And I bet, over the years, quite a few people have fallen in these things. Because as it goes dark, you wouldn't necessarily see it, and it looks quite level. Incidentally, there is steps along them for horses in case horses fall in, or I suppose to wash the horse. So just get some of the workings and look down over this lock. Get a shot of the gate from the other side, and you can see it's going dark, we're getting different colours. So that's our 4th lock. So there's quite a lot of locks in this issue, or this movie. We're going to cross over a bridge over the canal. That's a typical example of its overflow again. Three miles of water behind that wooden gate. I hope it's strong enough. There's the remains of what was once a link to a branch canal. And as I say, it flows, the canal's up there, from this channel, over the bridge and back to the canal. At the end of this street here, there's another branch canal which led off into Rochdale. I suppose you'd say Rochdale East, because the other branch canal, you drop down another lock gate there, and that's when you hit the next branch canal, which is also a really long straight line. So it's getting quite dark now, so I will slow down because it's important, but it's brilliant because it's night time. Crossfields Mill there, because we reached Rochdale last time, if you remember, and it was twilight. So really that's perfect, to be fair. And that's the old canal, and here is the old branch canal. As I say, it goes off in there, but it's blocked there now. Ends just there. And believe it or not, it goes to Canal Street. And I assume there was lock there because it goes up. And that might be just to mimic the old lock. And then there was another like half a mile branch canal into Rochdale. So there's a shot of Crossfields Mill, as we say. Manchester, UK. Brief videos of time with Stephen Goddard. And we're back in Rochdale. Rochdale Basin they call it. So, bit of freestyling. This was the lock gate that I closed once, and because the lock's empty, you would have no chance of opening that today. At 50. Empty. The Rochdale Canal. I'm Stephen Goddard. And the next section you'll see will either be Chadderton to Manchester Town Centre or Selby Bridge to here. Peace out everybody. I'm going to get flies flying in my face now.